On Sunday, we will see the LA Chargers take on the Denver Broncos in the final game of the year. And like we do every single week, we're going to be talking about the keys to success for the Chargers entering this game. So if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. It truly means the world to me. But let's not waste any more of your time. Let's go and get right into things. As mentioned, on Sunday at about 6 o'clock, the 10-6 Chargers will be taking on the 4-12 Denver Broncos. And this game, somehow, someway, even though the Chargers have already guaranteed their spot in the playoffs, could technically have a dramatic impact on some of the matchups for the Chargers in the playoffs. But good news for the Chargers, all those games will happen before their game does occur. Firstly, the Chargers sit at the 5th seed at this current moment, but could still fall to the 6th seed, cannot fall to the 7th seed. Good news on that part. And the game plan could dramatically change based on the games that happened before this, based on who may start and who may not start. So firstly, let's look at some of these important games this week. Now, of course, the Chargers game is the final game of the day, at least time-wise, of the important games. So everything's going to happen before. Now, of course, if the Chargers win, they are guaranteed the 5th seed, which is good news. If the Chargers have the 5th seed, based on winning, or if they lose and the Ravens lose, they would also have the 5th seed. The Chargers would then face the winner of the Titans and Jaguars game. Likely, I feel like at this point, the Jaguars will win that, primarily because I think the Titans are playing their third string quarterback. So, but be looking out for that. But the Chargers, technically speaking, could still fall to the 6th seed under the condition that the Chargers lose versus Denver Broncos and the Ravens beat the Bengals. That's the only scenario where the Chargers could fall to the 6th seed. And the Chargers could face the Bills and or the Bengals. Now, the most likely scenario would be the Bengals, with the greatest outlier being if the Bills and Bengals game will be played. Now, tragic incident in that Bills-Bengals game, which I'm sure you guys have all heard plenty about. I don't want to go too far into it because I feel like that's, out of my realm. I feel like I'm stepping over boundaries that maybe I shouldn't be, but let's all hope that these players and his family all do very, very well for tomorrow, of course. But back to it. If the Bengals and Bills game does get rescheduled, and the Bengals and the Bills are to lose this week, and the Bengals end up beating the Bills in that rescheduled game, that would then slot the Bills at the 6th seed, and the Chargers could then face them. Those are all the scenarios that could alter matchups for the Chargers. Now, of course, there are other games that could be important based on who the 7th seed could be, because we could see the Steelers, Dolphins, Jets, or even the Titans, I believe, all in that final wildcard spot. That's just as confusing as the Chargers scenario. A lot could still go on through these final week of play. Now, so, depending on how all these things play out, this Chargers game could be dramatically different. Of course, if the Ravens lose early on, it doesn't matter if the Chargers win or lose, so that would likely mean that they would just rest all their starters. So, based on the Ravens game, that will be the decision made on the Chargers starting or not starting their players. If the Ravens are to win, the Chargers likely will at least start their starters in hopes of solidifying that 5th seed and having an easier first round matchup. So the next topic here, at least primarily for this game, is the Chargers need to keep this offense rolling a little bit. If the Chargers are in a spot where they have to face or have to play their starters, you want to make sure that this team can continue this great offense proficiency that we saw from last week. And of course, it was 1 week, but it was good nonetheless. After scoring 31 points last week on the 12th ranked Rams defense, a lot of things were working right. It seemed like everything on all cylinders were firing. The rushing game, passing game, you had 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, both passing touchdowns in the red zone. A lot of things were working for this Chargers offense. And if Herbert and this offense can keep pace, this team honestly could be a dark horse in the playoffs that maybe could go on a run. Now, the Chargers currently sit at the 9th ranked offense, so they're definitely very, very good. Of course, their running offense definitely limiting where that number could be. They could definitely jump into the top 5 if that run game would have picked up a little bit. But the Broncos defense is one of the best in the league. They rank 6th in the entire league for their defense. Now, of course, a couple weeks back, they did allow 51 points to the Rams, who the Chargers just held to 10 points. But nonetheless, this Broncos defense can be a problem. Now, the Chargers did beat this team earlier in the year, and we hope to see something like that occur again, but you can't take lightly the Broncos defense. How can the Chargers succeed in this game? What should they look forward to on the offense? Keeping up the same things that worked last week. Diversifying some things, bringing some fake plays, get this run game going again, and just do what worked last week, but don't go too far into it. I think that's what the problem is with Joe Lombardi. Oftentimes, is he finds something that works and he goes too far into it that it becomes predictable. We don't want to see that. Use the ground game to open up some holes, create some fake plays, and try to get ahead early so that you don't have to play your starters the entire game. Next, you got to let the defense loose. They have been playing out of their mind the past 4 weeks, and you really want to see them keep that up. The defense has played amazing. They've allowed 44 points in 4 games, averaging 11 points per game through the past 4 weeks, including the Dolphins, the Titans, the Rams, and the Colts. Now, the Colts aren't great. The Rams offense is ranked 31st, but they just put up 51 the week prior. Titans, of course, can be very solid. I think they do rank in the bottom portion of the league for points per game, but they do have Derrick Henry, and of course the Dolphins have one of the best offenses in the league, especially at the time of playing. So these Chargers team held each one of those guys about on average to 11 points per game. It's pretty solid. And they have done that with still missing some key players. Joey Bosa played his first game back since week 3 last week. Derwin James missed because of concussion protocol. So we still haven't seen the 2 top performers on this defense, and Derwin James and Joey Bosa, on the field at the same time since week 3. If they can get all these guys together, even if it's just a short amount of snaps now and get them used to each other, this could be a huge plus for the playoffs. Now, with the chance for both of these guys to, get a little bit on a roll and get comfortable again, especially after dealing with injuries for both of these, this could be a dramatic plus for this defense in this game, but also just getting traction for the playoffs itself. Now, the Broncos do have the 24th ranked offense and certainly have not been good by any means, with Russell Wilson, playing much, much below what expectations were when that huge trade and contract came through. But the Chargers also rank 19th in the defensive and has picked it up a lot recently. So, there's plenty that the Chargers team could do to hold an already poor Broncos offense down low. The Chargers just need to keep doing what they're doing to succeed this week. Bring in those blitzes, use man-to-man coverage. It's been working great. Be willing to drop into the zones and just mix it up a lot and confuse the quarterback as much as possible. I think multiple times last week, we saw Bryce Callahan on just a perfect cornerback blitz where he pretty much showed no sign that it was going to occur until the ball was snapped, and it was just a perfect one. Even from Michael Davis, I want to see more of that. Bring pressure from odd places and make it very, very confusing for the quarterback. Now, the last topic, and this is going to be a very short video because there's not a whole lot going into this week, especially because of the fact that if the Bengals are to beat the Ravens, the Chargers won't be playing their starters. And, of course, that would dramatically change how this game plays out. But if you are playing your starters, you need to be ready to rest them when necessary. Now, depending on how the rest of things go out, they may not even play, and we might see guys that, are either fighting for a potential roster spot next year or just, guys that we're not so sure on. But if the Bolts are forced to play their starters in hopes of maintaining that 5th seed, you need to be ready to pull them if the time does arise. If the Chargers get up big time, big time, where you feel comfortable pulling no matter how early it is, do it. You don't want to risk any injuries. And if the Chargers go down big time, don't be afraid to pull them, even if that means you're going to the 6th seed. Because although, if you're down multiple touchdowns, yes, I know it's crazy saying against the Broncos, but it could happen. If you're down multiple touchdowns and it's the start of the 4th quarter, there's no need to risk your top players to move up one spot because you're already guaranteed into the playoffs. It's just a matter of who you will be playing. So don't be afraid to pull your starters. But with all of that being said, man, I am excited to see this Chargers team into the playoffs. And I really hope you guys are too. Go ahead and make your predictions down below. Score predictions and who you think the best player will be this week. I don't really feel comfortable doing either of those in this scenario because I don't know who will be playing. But nonetheless, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. It truly means the world to me. Quick note here. I will likely be doing a giveaway here soon for the Chargers content, making a personalized poster for Chargers. You know, have Chargers players on that. Hopefully the next few days here, next few weeks here, I'll be able to show you that, and I want to post that or do that giveaway when the Chargers season ends. So that, of course, the only way you can enter into that is by subscribing. I will have more news on that in the coming videos. And as always, I hope to touch them today. Hope it made you smile. Hope it laugh. Something really important to me affects my day in a great way. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.